Okay, Keshav Bhajanka joining us now, Executive Director at CenturyPly. Mr. Bhajanka, good morning. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
With infrastructure, construction coming back, are you also seeing an increased demand in the second half? What's the outlook there?
I would say the outlook is extremely positive. Demand has definitely come back on track, and I think it has come back on track far stronger than what we could have hoped for. I think this is the start of a housing boom in the country, and going forward, the future looks quite bright.
Great. So the profits and margins this time, were aided by the impairment cost last year. What's your outlook on margins? What levels are they expected to settle at now?
I think margins have been very strong in this quarter. Even if you remove the impairment last year, I think this is one of the highest EBITDA margins that we have perhaps ever reported. And this has been aided by a lot of things, of course, operational leverage being one, but there are a lot of cost-cutting initiatives that were done during the lockdown period and beyond the same. I think going forward, we will try to maintain similar EBITDA margins or try to improve on them slightly.
Keshav, with the low interest rates, we've seen a rise in the low-cost housing segment as well. Tell us a little bit more about the demand in tier 2 and 3 cities and in rural areas. What's that been like?
I think I've already mentioned earlier that this has been a brilliant budget. It is very, very focused on infrastructure and housing. The low interest rates and the income tax subsidy should ensure that housing, especially low-income housing, as you have mentioned, is going to do very well going forward. And I think that the tier 2, tier 3 markets are going to boom exponentially. I think there's going to be an increase in demand that is far beyond what we had anticipated. And this is likely to be in tier 1 markets as well, because as you know, the interest cost plays a major role. But other than that, there have been a lot of initiatives that have been taken to ensure that the housing sector revives. And I think going forward, the future looks bright.
Okay. After muted growth for the last few quarters, the plywood segment is finally seeing some recovery. What kind of demand trends are you spotting here, and how stable do you believe the demand situation is?
I think our performance in plywood is far above the norm when it comes to the industry. I think that, structurally, there has not been much change in the industry. I know everyone was speaking about unorganized versus organized and how the unorganized sector has crumbled. In my opinion, that has not taken place. But yes, us being the market leader and the strongest player in the industry, we have been able to take market share away from competition. And this trend represents a big positive for us. It is a culmination of a lot of initiatives that we have taken both during COVID and prior to COVID. And going forward, I think we are going to look to build on the current performance and go from strength to strength.
Okay, on the MDF segment, what are the kind of capacities that are coming in there for the industry? How's pricing looking? If you could share some of that with us as well.
I think there have been price additions in MDF over the course of the past couple of quarters, and I don't see that trend changing anytime soon. This has been aided by the fact that the cost of imports has increased exponentially, owing to an increase in international prices of MDF and the drastic change in sea freight. Going forward, there's one capacity that is coming on board in the near future, which is by a company called Rochelle Decor. We're coming up with an MDF project in the south. Other than that, there are no large capacities that have been planned as of yet by competition. We are planning to come up with a large capacity, an addition and augmentation to our Hoshiarpur project, which is going to be close to 400 cubic meters. And that should become operational within the course of the next year. We are also actively exploring the south market, and very shortly, I think we'll be able to share some good news there as well.
Okay, fair enough. You're also planning to invest 200 crores to expand the MDF unit in Hoshiarpur. What's the additional capacity and revenue expected as well post the expansion?
So like I just mentioned, we should be looking at 400 cubic meters incremental capacity that comes out of the expansion. And I would say that we can look at a 300 to 350 crore additional revenue coming out of the same.
And thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Bhajanka, and talking us through that.